Hello everybody, this is Tisha Mahar coming at you from Mexico. That's where I am currently. And hello especially to all the ladies, and thank you for your patience with this video, because I know many of you are anxiously awaiting to hear my opinion on this topic that is so relevant to every single one of us. So today's video topic is how the menstrual cycle influences or affects your body goals, whether your goal is to lose fat, whether it is to gain lean muscle mass, or just have a more normal, balanced existence as a woman. So in subsequent videos, I am going to address the stage of perimenopause and menopause, as well as hormone imbalances such as PCOS and amenorrhea. All of those things cause different hormonal fluctuations than what I'm going to be discussing in this video. So this video assumes that you're of reproductive age and still getting a menstrual cycle of, 28 days or so. Usually the menstrual cycle on average runs about 24 to 32-ish days. It can vary, but average is 28. If you are not getting a menstrual cycle or there's some kind of disruption, you're going to fall into one of the other categories that I'm going to be talking about. So menstruation, basically it follows 4 phases. So the first phase is what's called the follicular phase. And during the follicular phase, estrogen begins to rise. And estrogen is really, it really gets a lot of bad rap. Like, everyone thinks that estrogen is causing all of their hormone problems, and that may be the case, and I'm going to get to that in the other videos, but in a normal menstrual cycle, it's actually progesterone that often is causing a lot of disruption. Now, progesterone has good things about it too, and you need both because they both work synergistically together. So you want to have them both. You don't want to have one hormone being unopposed by another. So in the first phase of the menstrual cycle, the follicular phase, estrogen is rising. When estrogen begins to rise, you usually feel more energetic, your workouts are better, you're stronger, your recovery from especially weight training sessions is better, your pain tolerance is better. During this first phase also, usually cravings are at their lowest, hunger levels are at their lowest. So the first phase of your cycle is a really good phase for really dialing it in, your goals. And if your goal is to lose fat, that is the time. Your willpower is going to be at its strongest, and again, your energy, your workouts, all of that are going to be better during the follicular phase. And again, that's when estrogen is high. Progesterone is actually very low in that first phase, and estrogen is high. Now, the second phase of the cycle is called the ovulatory phase. And during the ovulatory phase, what happens is estrogen goes up even more, and this triggers what's called luteinizing hormone from your pituitary gland in your brain. Sometimes there can be a problem with the pituitary gland, and that can be what's disrupting the menstrual cycle. So again, the reason that you're having problems can be complicated, but generally, again, estrogen goes up even more during this time. It triggers the release of what's called luteinizing hormone, and this triggers your ovary to release the egg. When that happens, progesterone and estrogen then both continue to rise leading up to menstruation. And if you don't become pregnant during that time, if, for example, your egg does not become fertilized, then those hormones drop right down. They go really low again. So from ovulation, progesterone and estrogen keep rising, 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 and it's especially during the luteal phase, the last part of your cycle, that progesterone peaks right up. So how these last two phases affect your fitness goals. The ovulatory phase, at the ovulatory phase, estrogen is spiking, progesterone comes in, and also testosterone. When that occurs, because estrogen is still pretty high, you're going to have still good workouts, your energy is going to be good, your recovery is still going to be good, and because of the presence now of testosterone, this is the only time that testosterone really spikes up, because of that, you can also have more sex drive, and actually, that might be the time of the month when your workouts and stuff are their best, and that's because of that spike of testosterone. Also, however, at ovulation, some women do experience what I would call is a mini PMS. So they have some of those symptoms of PMS, like hunger and cravings and just crazy appetite, fluid retention. Some women experience this, and if that's you, this might be because that progesterone is coming in. Now, the last phase is the luteal phase, and this is the one that we're most familiar with usually, and the one that we dread the most. So during the luteal phase, wow, that sun is bright, but I can't be upset about it. It feels so good. During the luteal phase, estrogen is rising, progesterone is going way the heck up. When that happens, that's when you experience the hunger, the cravings, the bloating. You feel like you're holding an extra like 7 pounds, 8 pounds. Your energy is low. At this time, your recovery is low. Your pain tolerance, low. So basically all of the reverse of the follicular phase happens. So with all of that said, oh, this is really important. Super important. During the follicular phase, you are at your most insulin sensitive. If you don't know that term, it means during the follicular phase is the time when you're best able to handle carbohydrates without them being stored as fat and without them causing more cravings or fluctuations in your blood sugar. During the luteal phase, when you have all those crazy cravings, you are somewhat insulin resistant. And if you are insulin resistant, that causes your body not to handle carbohydrates as well. And so as a result, you just have more cravings because your blood sugar is high, you're spiking your blood sugar and you're crashing it back down and all of that nasty stuff. So this is how now you can support your body goals and work with your biology as opposed to against it. So what I want to suggest to you guys, and this is what I explain to a lot of my clients who are having hormonal issues, break your menstrual cycle down into 2 parts. In your follicular phase, consider that as your fat burning phase. That is the time when you really want to like go pretty hard, you know, like really make sure that your diet is dialed in, you're eating really well. This is the time to make sure you don't skip workouts. If you are trying to build more muscle, which is a great thing for all women to focus on, then that's the time to do that because your recovery is going to be better. Your use of the carbs you're eating is going to help support that growth. So the follicular phase is really your fat burning time. Interestingly, during this specific phase of time, the body also uses, or actually is burning carbohydrates as fuel. So this is the time, if you love healthy carbs, this doesn't mean go eat all the chocolate bars and Skittles. If you love healthy carbs, that's the time to have them and to keep your fat intake a little lower because your body is really designed to burn glycogen at that time as a woman due to what's going on hormonally. Now, in the luteal phase, opposite. Your body is actually a pretty good fat burner during that time, but only if you can control the cravings. So during the luteal phase, your metabolic rate is actually higher. So you are going to be burning more calories. The problem is that women usually eat a ton more during that time. I know I do. It's like night and day from how much food I eat in one part of the cycle versus the other. So what you can do during your luteal phase to keep those carb cravings out of control is increase your intake of protein as well as healthy fats. Both of these things are going to be super satiating, and during the luteal phase, you're actually burning fat better as fuel than you are carbs. So you can kind of break it down like you're doing a higher carb diet first 2 weeks, a lower carb diet second 2 weeks. This is in the luteal phase, going to help your blood sugar stay more stable. It's going to really keep those hunger cravings away. However, it's tricky because in the luteal phase, that's when you are going to crave the carbs. But that's because you're somewhat insulin resistant. So if you need a little bit of a serotonin boost, I recommend having some dark chocolate. What I usually do is have a little bit of dark chocolate at 3 different times during the day, and I find that gives me the little boost without having to eat like 5 bananas or like bread or that kind of thing. I find that always makes it worse for me when I indulge in those foods. So sometimes I have those foods, but guess when I eat them? Oh my gosh, my arms are I'm getting backwards now. The follicular phase. I'm doing this arm. Oh, never mind. So in the follicular phase is when you want to have those carby things. During the luteal phase, really boost your proteins and your healthy fats. If you have a major problem with PMS, if you have PMS or you have PMDD, so it's normal, and I'm going to close this first part now because here I go again, I'm getting up there. If you, in a normal menstrual cycle, which is again what we're talking about in the first part of this video, with a normal cycle, it's normal to have mild PMS. Well, some people say that you should actually have your cycle come and go and you don't even notice it. I think that's really, really rare. Usually you notice, you at least have some symptoms, some craving, some mood swing, something for even a little bit of time. But if you have really bad PMS, like you have a debilitating PMS, this means, you know, there's something going on. And what it could be requires that you do some detective work. You could have a situation where estrogen is dominating because your body isn't metabolizing your estrogen right due to, you know, your liver not functioning well. You could have, you could be entering perimenopause. We're going to talk about that later. You could be on the birth control pill, which causes estrogen levels to be higher. You could be drinking tons of, taking in tons of BPA somehow, so you have environmental estrogens in there. So there's something, if you have bad PMS, like you just want to die, you have to do a little bit more digging. I will say, and I'm going to talk more about this in videos to come, but I will say that if your adrenals are not functioning optimally, that will affect all of your hormones. If the adrenals are not functioning well, it hits the thyroid, which hits the sex hormones, and none of your hormonal systems, none of the endocrine system works independently. It's all related. So you need to treat your whole body. You need to look at the whole picture. And this often requires that you make lifestyle changes. So a few things that I'll just suggest to you. If you have really, really bad PMS, PMDD, the first thing I would recommend is that you have a test done. Check your hormones. That's the best way to be clear on what's going on. So many people go on Google to try to solve their hormone imbalance, and that can cause a lot of problems because a lot of things can seem like one thing and be another. Okay, so please don't Google to solve your hormone stuff. A few things, though, that I'll just throw out there that will really help you manage those bad PMS symptoms. Increase your intake of cruciferous vegetables. Try not to do too many of them raw because this can cause some effect to the thyroid gland. But, you know, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, all of those steamed are really helpful. This helps the liver to better handle estrogen and to metabolize your hormones better. Secondly, take care of your liver. Start drinking more lemon water. You know, really clean up your diet. Really, you know, try to minimize coffee, alcohol, all the things you would do to take care of your liver. I have a video on that, I'm sure. You could work on your adrenals. I know when I was having some insane hormone issues, that was the thing that helped me tremendously. So what does that mean? It means potentially taking some adrenal supportive herbs. It means making sure that you're exercising, but not too much. It means dialing in your sleep. It means moderating your caffeine intake or eliminating caffeine, all of these things. Thyroid, my gosh, there's so many things that affect your thyroid. I recommend everybody get their thyroid checked regularly, especially women. And then the other thing I would suggest with regards to making your PMS PMDD better, avoiding BPA, staying off of the birth control pill, avoiding non-organic animal products. All of these things can be helpful. Eating organic produce as much as possible because pesticides can cause problems in this arena. And then there's, of course, some supplements you can take. The top supplements that I sometimes recommend to clients who are struggling with bad PMS: Vitex, it's very helpful for normalizing the cycle. B6, vitamin B6. Magnesium, always magnesium. EstroSense Plus, that supplement is a wonderful combination of things that are really, really helpful for hormone imbalance. And what else? Vitamin E, and sometimes DIM as well, DIM, and that's actually in the EstroSense. So I like that product because it kind of hits a lot of the things that I often recommend. Taking more omega-3 can also be helpful. So again, guys, I really recommend that if you have crazy bad PMS, you start by getting some hormonal testing. On day 21 of your cycle, you want to have your levels of progesterone and estrogen measured. That's going to give you the most accurate view of what is going on with your cycle. And also, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, get your thyroid tested as well, because if your thyroid is not working right, this can really affect your menstrual cycle. So to have your thyroid, when you have your thyroid checked, you want to have, yes, your TSH, but not only your TSH. Often women go to their doctor and they're like, test my thyroid, and the doctors will test only your TSH. That does not give a full view of what is going on with your thyroid. You want TSH, you want T3, you want reverse T3, and you want T4. Those are the tests you need to have done. The other thing you could do, if you would like, is to work with me. I do one-on-one consults over Skype from all over the world, from wherever I am, with people from all over the world, and I am so passionate about hormone shit. I love helping women with this because I went through this myself, a crazy hormone imbalance, and I felt like I was losing my entire life. Like, it can be that real and that serious. I want to tell you that there is hope and there is a way out of this, but it usually requires that you make some changes to your lifestyle, to your diet, whatever needs to happen. I am going to do some digging around as well and see the possibility that I can order people, like clients of mine, test, like, you know, intake forms so that they can have these things tested. I have to see the legality of this works. But please join my group on Facebook. It's called TESHIA'S GROUP. Stay in touch with me. I'm going to be doing lots of videos on hormones this week, and I'm going to be posting in there in general tips and tricks for hormone imbalances, because I've noticed that a lot of you are dealing with this, and I really just want to help as much as I can in any way that I can. If you would like to do a consult with me, you can visit my website, www.teshiamahar.com, or join the group and we can discuss this more there. So this has been part 1 of your menstrual cycle and how it affects your ability to lose weight, to gain muscle, and in general to feel good and balanced and not super crazy. I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks for your interest in learning from me. I'm super flattered and honored, and I feel blessed that I'm able to help. Bye.